When I started Neuroelectric, it was after having worked for two other neuromonitoring companies that both used the same EMR program to document neuromonitoring. And I felt very comfortable with that program, but it left a few things to be desired. And I thought there just has to be another option out there. So I started asking around friends in the industry before I started. Have you heard of any other options? Do you know of any other EMR programs that do neuromonitoring specific? And one of them mentioned this company called ZinniaX in sort of an offhand comment, like, oh, I heard about them and I think they sound pretty cool. Take a look at that. Well, there was a lot to do and I didn't get around to looking into ZinniaX immediately. And then about a month later, I was talking with a billing friend who said, I recently did a demo with this company called ZinniaX, and it has some really smart people behind it, is what she said. And I thought, okay, this is the second time that I've heard this name and I should check it out. So I got a hold of the ZinniaX team, did a demo, and all of the features that I had wished were in the other EMR program were built in and customizable. And I thought, oh, wow, I should have looked into this from the start. I even called the previous companies that I had left and said, hey guys, I am starting to work with this company, ZinniaX, and like they're really great. You should look into it. And yeah, I just enjoyed it so much that I wanted my former colleagues to know that it was an option. So switching to a new EMR program definitely had concerns because it was something I was unfamiliar with, and I'm working in the OR, communicating with the surgeons and the neurologists, and it feels very, make sure everything works, because there's no excuse for surgical delays from the neuromonitoring team. So prior to having my first case with ZinniaX, I had spoken with the whole team, and what really made me think, all right, we can do this, was how open and willing the ZinniaX team was to do a tutorial, talk through sometimes an hour long on, hey, here's how we do this, here's how we do that. And it was probably 2 or 3 weeks of learning the user interface prior to when I started doing cases with ZinniaX. And by the first case, I felt like an expert in ZinniaX. It was so intuitive, and if I didn't know how to do something, it was easy to figure out because the user interface was exactly how you'd want it to be. Two other main concerns I really had about ZinniaX is it going to do the two things that seem most critical to me in neuromonitoring for an EMR program? Is it going to do screen share? And is it going to be HIPAA compliant and secure? When it comes to screen share, any of my concerns were quickly put to rest after doing several trial runs, both at my home office, as well as going to the facility where I'd be using screen share, testing it with readers, admins, making sure, okay, this works, it is flawless, and I don't have to be concerned about sharing my data. As far as HIPAA compliant being a concern, that was quickly laid to rest as well, because I saw that security was built into the platform from the ground up when they were creating ZinniaX. I loved that there was 2-factor authentication on logins. I loved that there were updates to the chat module, even since the time I signed up with ZinniaX to the time that I started using it. There were chat updates, security updates. It's the kind of thing that I get on my operating system at home every couple months. But with my previous EMR program, I realized, wow, there haven't been any updates to the chat function and the screen share function. And are we really staying up to date with cybersecurity if it hasn't been touched in years? So I felt very secure with ZinniaX's attention to security and detail. And that put any of my concerns to rest very quickly. think what I love most about ZinniaX is the customizability of the program. Anything from modalities to documents that you upload to autofills, you can customize them to such high detail that it shocked me. When I first started using it, I remember thinking, oh, there's this feature that I always wished I had, and it would be really cool if you could build it into ZinniaX. So I'd email the team, open up a support ticket and say, have you guys ever thought about doing this? And within a day, sometimes hours, I would have an email from them saying, hey, yes, that feature actually is built in and you can customize it on your end, so we don't have to do any changes here behind the scenes. Check out this video that shows you how to do it. And then I'd open the video and it would say, hey, John, this is how Neuroelectric can set up this particular aspect of the EMR program. Here's how you customize the document labels. And I thought, wow, this is a customized video for my practice. And he just made it in the morning right after I had asked the question. And it turns out that the answer was already built in. I just hadn't found it yet. So I like the customizability. And I suppose that also touches upon the other thing I really like about ZinniaX, which is the customer support. I have never felt left high and dry. I've always had access to somebody that can help troubleshoot any problem, which is to say not very often because there aren't many problems. But I really like the communication, and I feel like an important client to ZinniaX. ZinniaX saves me time in the simplest ways that I could really just sum up by saying it all works. I've never had a document upload fail. I've never closed out a case and gone back to review and see that a field didn't get entered. These are things that would happen at other companies that I worked for, but I've never had this problem with ZinniaX. Obviously, the intuitiveness of the user interface saves me a lot of time too. And it seems like, okay, it takes 10 clicks to do this in one program, but ZinniaX, you do it in 5 clicks. Well, okay, we're counting clicks, but that adds up when you're doing case after case after case. And the efficiency of the whole program and the fact that it works has saved me so much time. So from my first conversation with the ZinniaX team to when I felt I can do a case, it was probably only a couple weeks. I think the two reasons for that are because you guys were so great about talking me through things, doing video chats, screen sharing, and testing out all of the features. But then also the fact that every hyperlink was where I wanted it to be. If I saw a field that I wanted to know more information about, I could click it and it would take me back to the menu where I could reference the information that I was looking for. So it seemed very intuitive with great customer service. So just from when I first started using it, just weeks before I felt like, okay, I can take this into the OR with me. One of my favorite things about ZinniaX that I wasn't able to do is go completely paperless. I feel like in the modern age, the failure of confidentiality and the biggest risk to a HIPAA violation is a paper record that doesn't get taken somewhere or it gets stored improperly. So to me, the paper records were something that if I could do away with, I would. If you're encrypting something and uploading it to a secure server like ZinniaX, I feel a lot safer about that than putting a patient's protected info in a file folder. So with ZinniaX, I was able to automate my patient consent form. So they were signing on a tablet, which I was then uploading up to the server. And I didn't have to worry about storing papers in my car on my way to and from a case. And it felt very, very secure to me. People that are hesitant to switch to a new EMR program are perfectly normal, and I think that it's an incredibly valid concern because it's such a critical part of our practice to have something that works and is HIPAA compliant. So it's a really valid concern. At the same time, myself, after I switched, I thought, why didn't I do this a long time ago? Why didn't I get previous companies that I was working with to switch? It has saved me so much time since then that I think back to all the time it would have saved when I was hanging out trying to upload things after the surgery was done to make sure that the EMR program, and all this time I could have been doing other stuff, but I was stuck charting. So to anybody that's thinking about switching, I'd say stop thinking about it and do it, because you'll kick yourself for not having done it. To me, using ZinniaX was analogous to putting stress loops in my leads. It's an extra step at first, but if you have those stress loops and you take that extra few seconds, once you flip the patient, you know that when you go to do your impedance check, everything is going to be there. You're going through the motions because the leads aren't coming out. It saved you a lot of time in the long run by taking the smart steps at the beginning of it all. And that's how I feel about ZinniaX.